Hey YouTube, what's going on? Welcome back to Sinister Garage. In today's video, we're going to be doing something to the exterior of the Elantra N that I personally think will make it look better, and it is getting rid of the one thing that I dislike the most about this car from factory. And that is going to be the red trim on the bottom of the car. As you guys can see, you know, it goes around the whole car, all the way around the back, bumper on the other side, obviously, and then, you know, the front bumper as well. And it might be a little controversial because it is the one thing that sets the Elantra N apart from the N line, things like that, and it's the most noticeable piece is that red trim. Except if you have the red metallic color, where in that case you get a silver one if I'm not mistaken. So the way we're going to do this is that there's two options a lot of people go with. First off is Plasti Dip. I'm not skilled enough with Plasti Dip. I've used it one time to paint a Charger grill black, came out awful, sprayed over the horn, destroyed it. So we're not doing that to this car because this is a brand new car. We are going to be using this roll of wrap right here from our vinyl. It is their 3M, I think 2080 series or whatever. And it is 60 inches or 5 feet by 7 feet. Yep, there's the code right there, 3M 2080 G10 gloss white. And that is pretty close to the actual exterior paint of the car. So pretty close to matching as best as I can. So we're going to get started on this, and I'm going to start with the sides. That's the reason I went with this much wrap, the 7 feet by 5 feet, is because the side of this car is roughly 7 feet. And I'm going to want to knock that out because I think this might be the most challenging piece because I'm going to try to do this all in one go. Whereas the front bumper and the rear bumper, they have these little bit of notches that you can kind of see right there that I'm going to use to kind of break up the wrap. Now, I know you're not really supposed to do it on, you know, edges, things like that. Or if I'm not mistaken, that's what you're not supposed to do. But I think this will be the easiest way to do it. This piece is definitely going to be the hardest just because of the length of it. But I'm going to be careful with peeling all the wrap and just doing it little by little. And I'm going to start right here in the front with the N logo. And I'm just going to kind of heat it in. And I might eventually get an emblem to put in there to fully eliminate the kind of outline with a different color N. So we're going to get started with this. First thing first is you obviously want to have the car cleaned. I washed the car earlier today, so I'm just going to go over it with a little bit of an alcohol pad and then dry it up and then get still laying this. So I'll be with you guys here momentarily once I get this all unboxed, cut up into a good sized piece to get started, and I will see you guys shortly. All right, guys, a little progress check-in. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of tips if you've never wrapped a car before about kind of what you want to do for this. So I put my wrap on top of the car to begin the whole process. This is where I was cutting the sheets off the edge. Obviously, be careful so you don't cut the top of the car. But I was just kind of pulling it off to the side and just cutting it as I went. So I began with that spot right there. As you guys can see, it is done. N logo is not there. I'm going to kind of keep it like that for a couple of days. I'm probably going to cut out the N. You can kind of see the little indents right there. If you push it on it, I don't know if that's coming up on video, but I'm probably going to, you know, take care of that. As you guys can see, there's a little nick right there. This is only my second time ever trying to wrap a car, so I'm still kind of learning the process. But throughout the whole bottom part of the car, it's not bad. There's a little spot back here as well. I'm worried about the edges starting to peel up. I think that's going to happen, but I'm learning as I go. So this is the only side that I did right now. I've already messed up once, had to redo the whole piece. So how I messed up was I didn't take the wrap and make sure it was even as I cut this piece out. What I did was I just kind of, you know, started peeling back, didn't make sure the wrap was level. And unfortunately, it was going to make the wrap essentially go like this up the car. So had to restart. I messed it up pretty bad. So this is another piece. Made sure it was even. And I peeled the whole piece. I had my fiance out here helping me. She held the back end. I held this side. And I just progressively went through, kind of ran my finger on it and stuck it up to the top. And then just worked my way from that side down. This piece was pretty easy. she actually did this piece. She wanted to give it a shot. So a little bit of nicks here and there. Once again, this is her very first time ever messing with vinyl wrap. And she did this piece. She did pretty good, I would say, for our first times doing this. But we just, what I ended up doing for that piece, also did that front corner up there, and I did this corner over on that other side. So the car's like halfway done. So I just cut probably about this much roughly, or maybe a little bit more. I'd say probably about 5 inches, give or take. And then just one big strip. Did one big strip, cut it into a small piece like that. Took that same exact cut it for the other side over there. And then took the last remaining bit, came up here, got that little piece, and I'm left with this. Unfortunately, there's not a big enough spot on the car anywhere for this. So I'm not really sure, if I'm going to be able to use it. Probably not, but hey, whatever. So that leaves me with just the front bumper left, or front bumper, main piece, that little bit of trim, that little slit right there, kind of like what I did over here. Not a bad piece. Once again, edges, messed that up. Tried to wrap them around the back. So we're going to do this next, along with this. Actually, that'll be second. I'm going to take this piece out on the side, get that all finished up. Once again, I think this might be the hardest piece. And then finally, we got this rear section right here. So as you guys can see though, it kind of goes up, and I want to do it in one piece. So my thought process is I just want to make sure I have plenty to finagle with back here. That way I can do it just all in one go. So I will keep you guys updated. It'll probably be a couple days before I'm back to this. We're heading to the hospital, so I will have a baby here, and then in a couple days this will be done as well. So I will get some pictures, update you guys also once I get the car wrapped up, and then I'm going to take it out and go get pictures. All right, guys, what's going on? We are back a couple days later, home from the hospital. Everything went great. So let's get started on this piece. This is going to be the piece that goes right here on the side molding. I'm going to get started with this end right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to peel back a little bit right here, get it up here on top, kind of stick it, bring it down here to make sure everything's level, and then stick it back here somewhere so we can get that nice even surface going. I'm going to close that garage as well, or the door the whole way, because it's already gotten a couple pieces right here on the molding that I just wiped off. So I will keep you guys updated as I go through the process of this one. All right, guys, another little progress update here. Got that side done. Super easy to do. I forgot to record some of it as I was getting through the process, but basically all I did was I cut out the strip of that big piece. Made sure it was big enough to kind of stick up top. As you guys can see, if you look close enough, it's not perfect. This is a good like 5-footer job. Since I'm not a professional, gotta stand back a little bit to make it look perfect, but it's not bad for a first time really kind of digging into it. Anyways, grab a slightly bigger piece than this. I would say maybe another 3 to 4 inches, and then stick it up here or on the trim. Actually, I just stuck it all on both right here, and then made sure it was straight, kind of tight. Right down here, did the same thing right here in the back, stuck a little bit on there, and then a little piece up here just to kind of hold it still. So that was pretty easy since I already did one side. Now for the front. So the part right here, that middle section of the front bumper, was super easy. Once again, I already did this on the other side, so that wasn't too bad. A little bit more difficult than I remembered, but the main thing for this front piece was, it was super easy, but I took a little piece right here, and you guys can kind of see the slit. I did an inlay, I think is what it's called, and did this piece on its own. That way I didn't have to do all the angles and stuff. And then I just cut around it, and that's kind of how I did that piece. So it was pretty easy as well. Once again, not perfect. I'm not a professional, and kind of wanted to do a DIY. So last piece we have is the middle section of the bumper right here, which I'm going to guess is going to be probably the hardest piece to do on the whole car, just because of this rise here and then the whole loop around on each end. So I'm gonna get the car pulled out, spun around, and get right to that. All right, guys, so the final update here, we are done with the trim wrap on the Elantra N. I think it looks amazing. All the white with, you know, Atlas white on the trim looks great. I really was not a fan of that red, and this just solidified my thoughts on that whole situation. I'm just going to go over some more things right here on the wrap. So here in the back, as you guys can see, it's another 5-footer job. I'm not sure how well that comes up on camera, but there's a couple bubbles, dirt specks under the wrap that I unfortunately got with how I was doing the wrap. I will put some pictures up here on screen to kind of show you guys what I had going on as I was taking progress pictures through this. Kind of going over here to the sides. I am going to leave the N logo covered for now. I don't know if it's coming up on camera well because of the, you know, the shadows and everything. But as you guys can see, the N is still there. Obviously, can't really get rid of that unless I fill it. I know there's somebody that sells something on Etsy, actually, that'll fill this in. I might order one soon for that. But not too bad. Same thing with the other side. Obviously, you just want to keep it even. Here's the front. I'll put some pictures of it in the garage. So final, you know, kind of comments before I go get some good video quality of the car out and about, kind of real world outside of the garage. If you guys do decide to go the route of doing the red trim delete on your Elantra N, there's a couple things I do want to recommend. Would be one, if you do go the wrap route, watch some videos to learn how to kind of manipulate wrap and things like that. I've worked with it a little bit in the past, so I kind of remembered a lot of things from that. Obviously, it wasn't perfect, as you can see, you know, with all the imperfections I've shown you guys in the video so far. If you go the plastic dip route, my recommendation would be get a bunch of plastic to cover your car, because I'm willing to assume if you're doing the plastic dip route, you're going to be doing the color match like I did. If not, then you'll be more easily available to see where you had overspray at and kind of peel it off. But if you don't, the goal is to color match so it might blend in, unless you feel like the texture and things like that to get it off. So overall, not too bad. I think this is something very simple and cheap that you can do to make this car look significantly better. I think it looks amazing. Now, the red trim was my biggest dislike about the exterior of this car. So as you guys can see as well, also did a little badge delete back here for the Elantra. Car washing is 10 times easier without that back there. You just rub the towel across and you don't get any snags except for on the end, which I don't want to remove that. All right, guys, here we are a couple days later. Got the wrap put on. It's holding up pretty well so far. It looks so much better, I think, doing this red trim delete on the Atlas white Elantra N here. One thing I will note is that it is pretty dirty already, but I am going to be cutting this out, and I have a inlay badge on the way for this piece. So we'll get that taken care of pretty soon. Let's do a little quick walk around, show you guys how it looks. If you guys have Atlas white, I definitely recommend doing this. Got the nice little N license plate frame cover there. Also did a badge delete on it. Full walk around. I think I did a pretty decent job. First time, you know, kind of full sending it into wrapping just a small piece of the car. Definitely do want to do some touch-ups in some areas, but yeah, if you guys are thinking about doing it, I definitely recommend it. Hope to see you guys in the next video. We're going to be doing a front lip and then a side skirt for the car. So I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.